Hi and welcome to Mental Monday, the big friendly conversation about mental health with me, Jake Symons. Over the next half an hour, we're just going to be having a big friendly conversation about mental health. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you're here for the first time, this is an unscripted conversation about mental health, so we can discuss anything you want in the chat. As a mental health advocate, I'm available anytime if you do want to talk to me. After this chat has finished, anytime through the next 2 weeks. You can reach me on all my social links below, which are mainly Instagram, Jake_Symons, Snapchat and Twitter, JakeSWrites, or my email, jake@jakesymons.com, which are all linked in the description below. You can also get involved during the show on the socials, though I only check email and Twitter during the show. Could you please let me know if you don't want me to read it out, because if you text during the show, I may read it out by mistake, although I normally only do that if it comes through the YouTube live chat. If you text me outside when we're not live, it's obviously not going to be used. There's not really any house rules here, so for the benefit, if you're watching for the first time and you've joined us because of our Christmas episodes, it was great. We'll discuss those in a moment. There's not really any house rules, other than just trying to avoid triggering topics. That is because this is not the best place to get support. I can't help you through YouTube or any other channel. I'm not in a position to help someone if they were to be upset or triggered as such by what we have in the chat. So if we can just avoid things that could trigger people, and as always, if you are upset and you need to speak to someone tonight, Samaritans are there on 116 and 123, and if you're under 19, you can speak to Childline on 0800 11 11. And also call emergency help if you are in an emergency situation, obviously. As this is unscripted, as I mentioned, there's a few bullet points to get the conversation, but other than that, it's over to you. So do get involved in my socials, let me know your thoughts. I don't read messages unless they're in the YouTube chat, or Twitter or email. So if you are messaging me or say Instagram, Snapchat or texting me, I am not going to pick that up until after. As always, reach me out after the show has finished, and I will remind you at the end of my socials as well. So I mentioned Christmas, and we had a wonderful, and it was really good. I really enjoyed our Christmas specials of Mental Monday. Now, for some reason, we didn't do this last year. I think that's because we suspended Mental Monday. I went through a bit of a phase, if you will, where I thought talking about my mental health made it worse, so I decided to focus on me and actually stop kind of rehashing everything for Mental Monday, and I had to, prioritise my mental health and stop this. And then we restarted for Mental Health Week back in May. This is our 18th, actually. This is our 18th episode. This is going to be the last episode of the year. If you joined from my Christmas episode, or if you came across them and you're joining for the first time, thank you so much for being here, first of all. Thanks for sticking with us back to a normal Mental Monday. I'm actually really happy how they went. I mean, the 21st, which was our first episode, and this is all on the website. There's a whole blog which details what we were going to talk about, and then a blog that details what we did talk about, with a kind of, with video links on my website. So you can go back and see those. You can also see, I don't have a playlist created for them yet, but you can see last uploads. So you'll see them on the 21st, 24th, 25th, and 26th. So there are those 4 live sessions of Mental Monday, and I'm just going to run through quickly what they were. If you didn't make it, you didn't know they were on, obviously we do normal Mental Monday, which is our normal Mental Monday every 2 weeks. So this is where it should be in schedule. We ignore bank holidays and other things. It's every 2 weeks on Monday, regardless, at 7 PM UK time. So, So the next episode of Mental Monday is going to be on the 11th of January, and I will get January's Mental Monday scheduled on YouTube shortly after this goes live, so in about 25 minutes time. Shortly after the live ends, rather. We are live right now. So on the 21st, it was kind of a depressive episode, I guess you could say. It was more airing the negative emotions over Christmas, and obviously we are now mostly through the Christmas period. Obviously, there's New Year's to go. But, I mean, if you're watching this right now, you did get through it. So, first of all, well done. That is something to be proud of. And, yeah, good on you. So, yeah, 21st, depressive episode, talking about, you know, how Christmas this year wasn't the same as previous years, and how, we didn't really, it's not time to shy away from negative emotions. You don't have to force things to be happy when they're not. So, I definitely think that, despite it probably not being good viewing, I think the kind of idea of doing a kind of a depressive episode, if you will, was to just kind of show it's okay to talk about those negative emotions, and that really, that stuff's alright to air, because that is what we're feeling at the end of the day. We are all going through this together, we're all sharing in this time together. So actually being able to speak about it, and just speak openly about how we feel, I really think helps. So that was good for me. It definitely helps me and get a lot of stuff off my chest anyway. And then on the 24th, we spoke about Christmas and obviously what we were looking forward to, and kind of self-care, I guess. I think the 24th and the 25th are the best two to watch, if you're going to watch any. The 24th from about 15 minutes in, and the 25th pretty much most of the way through, I would say. But yeah, the 24th, we spoke about, you know, how you got to reach out to people. Obviously, that's not just for Christmas, you know, your mates are for life, not just for Christmas, hopefully. So you are still reach out to people just because Christmas is over. I know Christmas is a good excuse to reach out to people, especially if you know they'll be struggling during this time. But yeah, do keep reaching out to people still, because that can really help. I mean, you might not always get a positive response. Some people don't maybe not feel comfortable in talking to you, because if you don't have like a really strong friendship, it can be a bit difficult to open up to people, especially when you're talking about mental health and like your feelings and emotions and everything that's kind of buried deep inside you. You know, it's not really something you say to anyone. So, yeah, but just even so, letting someone know that you're there for them and that you actually care, and that you like them and you're their mate and you're there for them if they need anything. I think that's kind of the message I put out to people a lot. So personally, if I'm texting someone and they don't really respond well, which is, you know, happens because some people just don't like talking about stuff, and that's fine because not everyone wants to talk to you. You might want to talk to everyone, and especially us in the mental health community, we want to, you know, talk to everyone and help everyone and, you know, make sure everyone's okay, and, you know, not everyone wants to do that. So I think there has to be, I think one of the biggest things I've learned, especially over Christmas, is a bit more acceptance in that, yeah, people don't want to talk. So while we come on Mental Monday and we're like, talk about your mental health, you know, there are other people to talk to than you. So just accepting, and I think that's the biggest thing for me, it's just accepting that other people have other people than you to talk to, and that, you know, what they're going through isn't, you can still let them know you're there for them without turning it into a mental health conversation. And I think that's kind of the way I'm handling it now, is being there but not being in the conversation and waiting for them to approach it. I mean, obviously asking how they're feeling is important, and I do kind of offer up those opportunities, I guess, to reach out and to speak in that moment. But other than that, is just don't push it when reaching out. And I think when you reach out to people, there's kind of two ways of doing it. You either kind of come across as too intrusive, or get the balance right. And I think that getting the balance right is just really important. So you know your mates, you know the people you're around, you know, just, you know, a bit of, I guess, common sense would be the word. Seems to be a catchphrase of 2020. But yeah, just a bit of like just understanding, really. That's definitely something I've learned, because I've actually learned that, especially from some of the feedback I've got, that as I mentioned on the 24th, I can be slightly overbearing when it comes to asking people if they're okay. So definitely toning it down a bit and chilling out more, I guess, and just accepting that people are going to go through a rough time and there's nothing you can do about it other than just sit on the sidelines on your hands, which annoys me because I'm like, just talk to me, because I think that's going to fix it for them, but that might not be their coping mechanism. That might not be something that works for them. That's not something that works for everyone. So while we're big on talking here, obviously it's a live chat. It's a talking show. It's what we do. It's the only thing I can do on this side of the camera. But actually understanding that not everyone wants to do that, I think that's the biggest thing. And I wanted to share that because that is something that I have learnt. That is something that I'm going to do differently. And I thought that if, you're going through the same boat, I wanted to just share that out there. And also, apologies to my friends who are watching this, who know who they are when I will tag them at this kind of timestamp and send it to them. So, apologies once again for that. So, we kind of move on to the 25th of December and talking about self-care. And this, for me, was a really nice episode because I talk about self-care every single episode. Like, it is a lot. And I need to kind of hum up with other blog topics. And that's something I'm going to mention later on. But, 25th, self-care. How did you get through Christmas? What did you do? And about kind of how not to, I guess, make self-care too difficult for yourself. Like, as long as you enjoy it, it doesn't have to be like going on a spa day. It can be just taking a walk or listening to music. And I think that being creative with how you take self-care, providing it's safe and it makes you happy, is fine. And it was like, experiment with self-care. Don't follow the kind of self-care culture if that's not something that fits you. Of course, sticking to a routine can help make self-care part of your everyday. But, life gets in the way. You're not going to be able to do that every day. So, don't be then too hard on yourself if you break that and you have to start over, etc. That's something really to avoid. So, definitely, self-care. Big topic on this channel. Something I do want to cover more on the website as well in blogs, but we'll mention that later. And on Boxing Day, we just spoke about future plans and kind of recapped over what we've just mentioned. So, there you go. That is Christmas in a nutshell. If you didn't join me, I've mentioned the 2 episodes to watch. The 24th from about 14 minutes on, and all of the 25th I would watch. The others are not really that. Well, I mean, they're still, if you like the content, good. But, I mean, that's, if you're a new viewer, probably what I'd go to first. Right. So now we move on to today's episode. And, as you know, we normally talk about things in the news, current events, and what's kind of going on in the world. So we haven't done one in 2 weeks because we do these every 2 weeks, despite us having, the kind of intermediary Mental Mondays. They weren't really news focused. They were more, I guess, topic focused. So today I want to talk about mental health in 2021. And I was looking up mental health, and the president of the Royal College of Psychiatrists, whose name I don't have to hand, or her name, who is it, actually? I do apologise if I have just misgendered someone. I'm actually going to look that up, because that's going to annoy me. The head of the Royal College of Psychiatrists is Dr. Adrian Jones, from my search. So I believe Adrian is the person who has said the quote that this is the worst mental health crisis since World War II. And obviously that was like a war, so that was kind of bad, I'm assuming. I mean, I wasn't there, so yeah, I don't really know much about mental health after the war. But worst mental health crisis since World War II, according to Dr. Adrian, the president of the Royal College of Psychiatrists, and a mental health emergency. That's from Mind charity. Mind charity, wonderful charity. They sent me a whole Christmas fundraising pack. So if you do have something you can give to Mind, do get involved. They're really, really good charity. And yeah, like many others, Place to Be, Shelves Line, Samaritans, Mental Health Foundation, etc. Young Minds, another one. I could go on, but I do really want to do a kind of, I'll do like a charity roundup page. That's going to be something that can go on the content list to do. So yeah, just generating content ideas of just charities that I think are quite cool, and that could, because obviously charities have struggled because fundraising events you're not really allowed to do, so unless it's online, so yeah. Alright, so that is basically 2 quotes, that we're basically in a mental health crisis, and being inside since March, yeah, we probably are. Let's be honest. We've basically created an unnatural environment where everyone is shut inside, deprived of human physical contact. It's bad. I mean, people have managed to cope, and some people will say it's benefited them being away from the rat race and not having to get the train to London every day, which is it's not the best train journey in the world, especially in the morning. But we're kind of going into 2021, we have vaccines. So there is kind of hope, but it's still months of restrictions to get there. So we've got hope, but knowing that we're going to have to kind of drag this out for a while yet. So how do you feel about that? First of all, I'm just going to put that out there. Get in touch with me on Twitter at @JakeSWrites or via email, which I'm monitoring during this. And I will check your other comments across other platforms after this as well. How are you feeling about that? I mean, obviously we've got the thing with the schools when they're maybe not going back if they're not in primary, or there's like a whole criteria. It's primary schools 11, year 11 and 13, which are our years here in the UK, key worker kids, and special needs and vulnerable children. There you go. So there is some exceptions, but for the majority of you with those children, like secondary school age children, you're going to be having them with another week, or if you are one yourself, you're going to be off school. How are you feeling about that? Worried about exams? Obviously, if you're not in years 11 and 13, you've still got some time, but I mean, they're still hurtling towards you. If you're in year 10 or 12, you're still revising, I guess. You're still doing your work for your exams now. So how are you feeling about all of that? How is that going for you? There's a lot, isn't there? And definitely we'll be covering this in Mental Mondays and kind of latching on to how it develops and talking about how we all feel about it. But there is a lot going on. And I think 2021 is just going to be a lot of mixed emotions. Because we're going to have increasing hope towards vaccine. And then increasing tiredness about restrictions. So, I mean, personally, it's been up and down. I think I've been alright, though. I think I've adapted into it quickly. I think because I was furloughed until about August, and that time was hard because I was basically doing nothing. And it started off hard, and then it got easier because I was like, actually, I could have a break, and then it kind of got hard again. And then obviously, I was let go in the end of August. So then I started my own business in September, Down Media, that's also linked in the description. It's my agency, and since then, it's been kind of taken off, and that's been keeping me busy, a lot busy, especially because we're in startup phase, and we are, there's so much to do, there's always so much to do, and I like that because it keeps me distracted, it keeps me busy, it keeps me focused, and eventually gives me a goal to work for, so when this is all over, I've got something positive out of it, which is, a business, which is nice. I'm happy now that I can still look forward to a positive 2021, hopefully, and I feel confident somewhat, which I know doesn't sound confident, but I mean, I'm still approaching it with mixed emotions. It has been up and down, but on the whole, I think I've got through this quite well, and if you haven't, do reach out, There are ways of getting through it, especially if you're not able to access your usual support networks. I'm not offering much, but I can be added to your support network in the sense that you can text me if you don't feel well. and obviously in an emergency I'm not professional. This is I just keep wanting to say, if you need to talk to someone professionally because you are really not well, or you are going to do something that needs someone to be with you to help you, then that's not me. But if you just need someone to text once in a while, or just someone to follow you on Twitter or Instagram and just like your posts and, wish you a good day, I guess. So, I mean, it's not much, but hopefully that's something. I am trying. It's just that I have to always disclaim things, because otherwise, it could be a bit of a messy situation. So we're trying to avoid that. But yeah. So it was kind of going into 2021. We've obviously got Mental Health Week in May. That's the biggest event. We've obviously got Eating Disorders Awareness Week in February as well. We normally only do 2 blogs for that. We normally tackle the theme in one blog and then round up other people's blogs, because I've never had an eating disorder before, so I have no personal experience with it. So I just talk about the theme kind of generally to raise awareness to my blog about it, because we do try and cover kind of awareness day. So it would just be something like this is what Eating Disorders Awareness Week, this is the theme, this is my thoughts on the theme. And then I try and round up blogs that have been written by people with more personal experience, because I've only had a couple of friends with an eating disorder, so even kind of in friendship groups, it's not that common for me. So definitely the roundup posts, and that's why I do roundup posts. I do them for Mental Health Week as well, and that is just to say, look, there's other people in a better place than me to talk about this, so, go read them, go speak to them, because they're better than me, and they're better placed than me to actually talk about it. So I definitely like doing that. That's something that really helps me as well, just to make it a bit more open, rather than trying to just talk about everything myself. I find it easier to say, right, these are other people in the mental health community that like talking about what they're going through. That's all. We're all a community here. Let's just all share it around. That's kind of how I feel about that. So yeah, definitely doing something like that in February and in May. But other than that, there's not really much in the year. It's just going to be these every 2 weeks, and whatever content we come up with. So if you do have any content ideas for the website or the blog, do let me know. That is jakesymons.com/blog. That's also linked in the description. And that is, I only really update it on awareness days. I don't really do a lot with it, so I do need to add more content. I do want to get kind of back into that. So that's definitely something I'm looking forward to doing in 2021. So, as this is the last episode of the year, I just wanted to kind of reflect on the kind of content we've actually done this year. Because as I said at the start, there's been 18, this is episode 18 of this year, and we did only start in May. And we had 18 Mental Mondays, and there was a break for summer as well. And we spoke about kindness for Mental Health Awareness Week, which the theme changed, because the theme originally was sleep, and then they changed it to kindness because of the pandemic, and I thought that was a lot fitting, because that was back in the days we were all out clapping for the NHS and all that stuff, which now we don't seem to do, except for the bell ring on Christmas Eve, which no one in my row did, including me. Probably should have gone out there and whacked a tambourine or something. But yeah, definitely then it kind of got into a lot of boredom / similarity, in that every day was basically the same, and probably will be for the first kind of, well, restrictions are still in place. I guess every day is still going to be the same, so that's why we went down to every 2 weeks, because it just seems to make more sense, because there's not really much to talk about every week. Whereas every 2 weeks, you've got 2 weeks worth of content, which is a lot more opportunity for things to come up, for me to think, ooh, that'll be good for Mental Monday, or for me to see, obviously, I try and take what's in the news, what's coming in the mental health community, what's in my feed, i.e. your suggestions, and then what I just kind of think of the top of my head, and I'll try and merge all them together and say, right, this is what we discussed this week, this is what we discussed next week, and I do the running order today. I wrote the running order for this at about 5. I like having it unscripted because mental health is fluid, and I think my mental health, and I think a lot of yours would be too, is very fluid. It's very variable. You have ups, you have downs. So definitely trying to structure this too much would just be too restrictive, because then I wouldn't talk about stuff I wanted to, because half the stuff I spoke about today is not actually scripted. So yeah, I just feel like it's better for me, and it helps me more just to speak off the top of my head and openly. So that's the format I like, and that's the format that's going to stay in 2021. Excuse me. Losing my voice slightly, but that's the format that's going to stay going into 2021. This kind of open, fluid format where we're all able to have a chat, talk openly, and yeah. I think that's it. I think that's it, you know. I feel like we got through a lot today. We discussed everything over Christmas, how to reach out to people. Ooh, we didn't actually discuss how to reach out to people. I mentioned charities, and I did kind of mention how to reach out to people. But also a trusted adult, which I didn't mention, is to reach out to people as well. Someone you trust, which you know is not me. Someone preferably that you know, that you trust, that can actually help you in some way, or point you in the direction of someone who can help you, because that's really only I can do. I mean, I will probably tell you to tell your parents, tell your GP, tell the Samaritans, write it down and tell someone, or just give you some words of encouragement, and that's about it. That's all you really can get. But hopefully just having me there, I guess, hopefully does provide some value. I mean, it helps me knowing that I can come on here and express myself, so it provides help for me, and that's all that kind of matters to me, I guess, is that this helps me, because that's why I do it, because I get the mental health benefit. And if you are on for the ride and you're here too, that's also great. It's great you're here, and great you can come along to that. So there you go. That concludes the last ever episode of Mental Monday, the big friendly conversation about mental health with me, Jake Symons. It's been great. It's been, what a year it's been though, and we've got through it. We've had Mental Mondays every 2 weeks since May. We've had such a good time on these. I've really enjoyed doing them, especially excuse me, over Christmas, especially the ones over Christmas. Really, really valuable. I've learned a lot about myself, and I've learned a lot about how to do these better as well. And hopefully you've enjoyed it. Hopefully you've found some value here. So thank you so much for sticking with me. And I really do mean that, because it's great to know that I'm actually able to help others and to provide just even, a couple of minutes to dip in and out and just time away from it all, just to come and have a talk to someone different, a new face. And to everyone new watching this as well, thank you so much for joining us over Christmas, and also for coming to today's episode as well. I look forward to seeing everyone in 2021 virtually, through the lens, though eventually it might not need to be virtual. You never know. We could, we'll all see. You probably won't be seeing me, but you'll definitely hopefully get to see more people that you haven't seen this year, next year. But yeah, thank you so much for coming. I really do appreciate it. I really do appreciate all the support on the channel, all the support across Twitter and my socials as well. Thanks for sticking with me. We're all here together. And even if you're not in the mental health community, i.e. you don't post mental health content, you're still part of this community. You don't have to be a kind of voice leading from the front. I certainly don't consider myself that way. I barely post mental health content on Twitter these days, but you don't have to be that. You can just be a supporter. Even if you don't have mental health yourself, you can just support. You can just be there for your friends. And let's just all be there for each other and the community we're building here. In 2021, that's really something I want to focus on, is the aspect of togetherness. And that's definitely something I'm going to bring to a lot more episodes. And I hope you will too. So there you go. That is the end of today's final episode. As always, Twitter @JakeSWrites, Instagram Jake_Symons, Snapchat Jake S Writes, and everything else you need should be in the description. Thanks for coming. Have a happy new year, and I will see you all, hopefully, to my new viewers, specifically, looking at you, on the 11th of January for our first episode of Mental Monday in 2021. Alright, take care, stay strong, and I'll see you all in the new year.